So Mattia Binotto is back. The ex-Ferrari team principal who was dropped at the end of 22 is taking over as CTO and COO at Audi. Well, it's still Sauber for now, but you know what I mean. The Swiss-born Ferrari stalwart joined the Scuderia way back in 1995, a part of their engine team throughout the glory years of Michael Schumacher, and headed up their engine department from 2013. Unfortunately, come his promotion to team principal in 2019, things didn't quite go to plan, did they? 2020 was one of their worst seasons ever. He regularly seemed to clash with Golden Boy Charles Leclerc and in reality became a bit of a laughing stock. Well, he's back to right some wrongs per se, perhaps a redemption arc. Well, Audi think he's the right man to take him forward. But there are casualties. Audi executive Oliver Hoffmann and CEO Andreas Seidl, the man who left McLaren early to link up Audi, both gone. My name's Tommo. Let's talk about it with a guest. No, we are not doing this one alone. I am joined by my good friend from the YouTube space. It's Mr. Cameron of the Cameron F1 YouTube channel. Cameron, how are you, mate?
I'm all right, chap. Sobre boy. I survive, you know, like trying to understand and wade my way through these F1, these very murky F1 waters, chap. How are you doing, sir?
Good, mate. I'm good. I'm well. I'm happy. I'm hydrated, as you all should be. And I could think of no better person than to just have a little bit of an impromptu off the dome chinwag about a certain Mr. Mattia Binotto returning to Formula One. First of all, before we get to the meat and bones of it, Cameron, what was your first impression when you heard the news that he's going to be taking over at Audi?
You know what, Tomo? I'm not even sure how to react to the Binotto stuff. The salient image in my mind is of him telling Charles Leclerc off, right? It didn't work then, and I'm not sure it will work now at Audi. He's an engineer chap more than a CEO come team principal. So I'm not sure they're not trying to sandwich a square shape into a round hole again at Audi. Being honest, that was my initial take.
Yeah, that was mine too. Obviously, you read into the details and it's a CTO role and a COO role. But then Seidl was CEO, and then Oliver Hoffmann, who's gone, he was kind of chairman. He's from Audi. So it's like a restructure as well as obviously someone new coming in. I mean, he's Swiss-born, Mattia Binotto. There's a connection there. I don't know. I feel like when I first saw it, I always felt like when Mattia, but he had unfinished business. I definitely felt like he had unfinished business, and I'm not surprised he's back personally.
But Tomo, back in the right role, you need to, do you know what I mean? You need to, it's not just about the right people is F1. You've got to put the right people in the right positions, surely. And are you saying that Binotto is the right guy for a CEO role, Tomo? Come on, chap. That doesn't even sound right.
Well, CTO, Chief Technical Officer, absolutely. And that is one of the two roles that he's going to be taking on. Chief Operating Officer, perhaps as well, 27 years at Ferrari in the back. We've got a few quotes, actually. I took a few from everyone in the community page who responded to me saying Binotto is back. And this first one from Agustin. Binotto is a really good technical director. The Ferrari in 17 and 18 was a real contender. Even in 22, the car had real issues, but was still fighting for the title. What do you make of that, Cam?
Not wrong, but again, I don't know, Tomo. It's wrong with me. And you know what? The broader context is this, Tomo. Are the senior stakeholders at Audi really bought into this F1 project? And again, I think if we're assuming that this might not necessarily be the right appointment to the CEO, CTO role, that surely, Tomo, is in line with this. That Audi don't know what they're doing still. Carlos Sainz is that, mate. I'm Carlos Sainz, Tomo. You think I'm going to that team, chap? Alpine, Williams, Red Bull, anyone, not Audi or Sauber, though. That's a bad decision, mate. Not going over there to just sit in F1 flotsam and jetsam for the next 5 years.
So you think this puts Carlos off, perhaps? I mean,
1,000%.
It doesn't. The fact that there's been this management change he's been in that role for 18 months. Andreas Seidl leaving McLaren early to take that job, by the way, as well, which is a bit crazy. And that to be dropped before the Audi dreams even been realised. I think it just shows that, Audi, they've said they've been stepping up their interest and stepping up their involvement in the team, and they're going to take over 100% of the stake instead of just 75. And this decision is indicative of that. But also, we've seen a team like Alpine, that's a manufacturer, and arguably their biggest shortcoming is making these reactive decisions too soon, because they've been through getting team principals like football managers. It's ridiculous. So is this just another example of that?
Mate, there's I don't know which iniquity thread you want to pull at, Tomo. There are loads, and I mean, as far as Alpines are concerned, bloody Nora, chap, you make them sound like they're a brilliant F1 team. Like, where do you start with their mistakes, Tomo? 100 race plan and all that. The engine manufacturer, they don't know what they're doing. But again, there are parallels, Tomo, with the ills of Audi and Sauber and Alpine being, of course, that senior stakeholders not engaged, indecision, engine manufacturer. Like, what are they? I don't know, Tomo. I've got nothing.
It feels like Mercedes' approach with their team, which they do only own a third of, because obviously it's Toto, Mercedes, say Mercedes, Daimler, and Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos. Like, it feels like Daimler don't intervene, and maybe you could say, well, because Mercedes have been doing bits over recent years, like generally speaking, they've not felt the need to intervene, but it does feel like they kind of leave it to Toto to kind of run it and do his thing, arguably in a way that Red Bull, at least before before recent events and the passing of Dietrich Mateschitz, it felt like Horner was kind of left. Obviously Helmut would involve himself, but Horner's been allowed to build this team. You've got Alpine making all these different changes and Renault making all these different changes, and maybe Audi could end up doing the same, because, like you say, that the nature of this big multinational that has a lot of shareholders and a lot of opinions that are kind of chipping in, and maybe not. You could argue the same. That's why Ferrari haven't been successful. Perhaps it's that interference at the top level.
Yeah, 100%, Tomo. And the fish stinks from the head down, right? If you can't get the senior stakeholders to buy in, then F1's too complicated an endeavour, right? If you can't get if the senior bods, the guys that sit on the board and the chair and the CEO, I'm not on about Mattia Binotto level CEO. I'm on about the group level CEO as an equivalent, like for Red Bull, you're talking about Mark Mateschitz and Oliver Mintzlaff. If you can't get those those dons bought in, then your F1 operation is doomed. F1's far too hard, both tactically, managerially and strategically, to not have the buy-in of the bods. And this is the failure. Audi, it sounds like, if word on the F1 curb is anything to be believed, the Audi guys already, some of this, they're sacking senior bods, I've heard, like getting rid of like already it's the same old, right, Tommy?
Well, yeah, I mean, Audi, in terms of Audi's CEO, broader CEO, Gernot Dolner, I'm going to say that's how it's pronounced. He was appointed only last September.
Yeah, look at
so there's been recent change. It almost kind of, as well, you look back at Toyota, like the amount of money they spent when they were in F1 kind of financial crisis, and a lot of their inability to achieve their potential with their home in Cologne was put down to, again, senior management interference. So I hope this isn't that. I hope Seidl hasn't been a victim of, pencil pushing at the top level, because I've got another quote. This from Seidl. I think Sauber continuing to be rubbish and McLaren only getting stronger since Seidl left hasn't reflected on him. I mean, it's true. Like, when Seidl came into McLaren, I was full of praise and I was very excited about Seidl. When he went to Audi, I wasn't surprised because of his links with Porsche and sports car racing. But I mean, it doesn't reflect great on Andreas, does it, Cam?
Yeah. I don't know, Tom. Do you want to? Is that not coincidence? I don't think... People say the same about Adrian Newey leaving Red Bull, right? That the second that he's out the door, all of a sudden the car just... I just think sometimes you don't want to do the apophenia thing and connect dots that shouldn't be connected.
Well, it's been 18 months. It's been a year and a half since... And McLaren even at it was the start of last year, which was 18 months ago, where it was absolutely in the bin, and that first round of upgrades in Austria that Lando got would have come under Seidl's watch. So I do know what you mean, but again, it's just, I guess the optics of it is just a bit stinky. It's not going to help his chances getting a job anywhere else in F1, is it?
Oh my gosh, good luck, Andrea. He'll be all right though. He'll get something. Alpine will hire him or something.
Well, there's actually talk of I saw a couple of tweets, which, I mean, take a tweet for what you will, but Mike Crack may be thinking about potentially making the move over as well. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Lawrence has got deep pockets. One other thing I did want to question with the third quote I've taken from Fender, thank you Fender, for getting involved in the community post, is around your assertion about Carlos Sainz, because, well, Fender thinks the opposite. Could be a good way to get Sainz to join Audi, as Binotto and Sainz seem to get on really well. Mattia Binotto was the man who signed Carlos Sainz, and the generally agreed consensus was that he was kind of a bit closer affiliated with Carlos, and obviously Fred Vasseur coming in a bit closely affiliated with Charles. So could this actually maybe work in Audi's favour to get Carlos?
No, I think Carlos Sainz, if Carlos is anything, it's a sound racing mind. I've been super impressed with him, Tomo, over the past couple of weeks. Listen to him on the Nude Project podcast, and he just, intellectual is an understatement as far as Carlos Sainz. He said on a many occasion now that he understands that he's at a critical, almost like a tipping point at this stage of his career. So what he doesn't want to do is go and sit in a team that's not going to be capable of winning championships for the next 5 to 10 years, which I think is a fair characterisation of what Audi or Sauber come Audi will be, even with Mattia Binotto at the helm. Like, it just doesn't... Carlos will want to join a team that has a chance, and whether that's Alpine with the Mercedes engine or Williams with the Mercedes engine, I think he'll be more looking on those, or Red Bull depending on what Maximilian Verstappen does, or Mercedes depending on how that works out with Andrea Kimi Antonelli. I think Carlos will be well aware, acutely aware, that he's got better options on the table, and he'll look to maximise for those, you know.
Yeah, let's talk about that actually. The Alpine, well, it's come out today from Autosport that potentially they could have Mercedes engines next season, 2025. And you look at Enstone, they've run their own engine since, was it 2014? I think they had Mercedes power units. It's been a long time they've been kind of doing their own thing in Viry. And obviously, Briatore's come in and probably said what everyone thinks in terms of achieving success. That engine is not good enough and hasn't been good enough for a very long time. Yes, it's deeply embarrassing for the Renault Alpine brand to essentially give it up. But if they want to achieve success in Formula One, that is the right call, because, I mean, they've not got the facilities, both literally and figuratively, to deliver on a PU front. So an Alpine, an Enstone-based chassis, developed chassis, and if we're talking, they're missing 2, 3, 4, half a second in engine power, the chassis maybe is actually a lot better than we think. Do you think that decision actually makes, Alpine a more appealing prospect to Carlos than, at least Williams?
I think Fabio's come in and he's made it clear, right, that I think he understands. This is the gift and the curse with Fabio, right, Tomo? He'll understand from a business perspective what you need to get the Carlos Sainz Jr. contract over the line, and that will be the affiliation with Mercedes. And there's a convenient symbiosis in effect, in the fact that they can't afford to spend 45. I mean, they should be spending 90 million trying to develop their engine for the new regs in 2026, and they're spending 45 a year. It's still a lot of money, Tomo, but are you in? Are you in?
They're half-arsing it, aren't they?
That's what I'm saying, Tomo. And what, you can't half-arse even Toyota that spent a gazillion pounds still ended up failing. So I just think, flat to your question, sorry, I'm beating around the bush massively. But to your question, Tomo, Fabio knows what time it is, and he's already been instrumental into. He's going around the paddock, I hear, saying that the Mercedes deal is already done, and I don't think it is already done. But Fabio, being the guy who gets things done, being the savvy business mind that he is, knows that as a as a contractual bait per se. He needs to be able to go to Carlos Sainz and say, listen, we've got Mercedes. Like, we will have them on board. Maybe not 2025 would be ambitious, but definitely from 2026 when they've got that God tier power unit. And so why don't you come to us, chap? That's not their unique selling point, but that could be the deal breaker the deal clencher as versus the deal breaker for getting Carlos Sainz Jr.
I think Luca De Meo would love to put Flavio as team principal, but that would just never. That could not happen. That the only way of getting Flavio involved is as this kind of almost like a contractor, I guess, and have Bruno take that
executive advisor or director, if Flavio Briatore is to be believed. I mean,
they're just coming up. I mean, to be fair, job title is just a made-up thing that we just decided.
Well, is it, Tomo? You can't tell lies, chap. Like, what are we doing?
Well, look, I could call myself a CEO technically of Tomo Enterprises.
But advisor versus director, Tomo, are like, do you know what I mean? There's only 20,000 steps between the two. Like, flip.
It's a bit of a grey area, but I do think that recent update with Alpine, and now this with Sainz was close with Binotto, Audi it was kind of linked, and then it wasn't linked, and maybe this, I don't know, maybe this does play into it. It feels like Carlos. Well, will he benefit from waiting? That's the thing. None of the other big seats have been taken yet, but could they? Will Williams wait out? Would they snap up a Bottas, or are they really that engrossed on Sainz? I'm not sure how this. He still seems to hold the cards. And obviously Antonelli's, and I think Antonelli's obviously delivered, back to back, a sprint and a feature race in 2 weekends running. I don't know, mate. I don't know. Oof. I don't know where he ends up. So I think probably Alpine still. I think for Sainz.
Oh, and you're completely ruling out a Mercedes or a Red Bull?
No, I'm not. If I was Toto Wolff, I would sign Sainz, absolutely, and I'd be pushing Kimi heavy on Williams.
But he's not going to do that, Tomo. You've heard Toto Wolff. It's Max Verstappen or bust.
Yeah, that's the thing. he's getting flashbacks.
Oh, mate, he's looking to redeem himself. That's the worst thing that he ever did right in his life or professional career, not signing Max in 2015 or 16, and he's looking to solve for that now. Tomo,
well, this is what I mean. I think Toto. I like to think Toto would have been on the blower to Max after Hungary, being like, "Come on, we've not got any interference. You don't have to worry about Christian. You can come over here. This is my ship, right? Daimler and Jim Ratcliffe, leave me to it. Come over here, join the party, right?"
Tomo, what do you mean after Hungary they were sat down having coffee and brunch at Miami? Those conversations are happening, Tomo. I bet my life on it.
Oh, yeah.
Toto is desperate. You can hear him. Every time they put a microphone in front of his face, he's like, oh, you know what, Matt, I know Max is stable, but things change. Who knows? Everybody would want to sign Max. That's all that he talks about these days. He's trying for it. And Carlos will know that. Yeah. And so he'll be looking to see Max has first mover advantage. See what happens after that.
It's going to be tough. I think that as well, I think Audi coming in, German manufacturer in a sport that's been dominated by Mercedes for as long as it has been. They're obviously... They could have just been passive and just let Seidl and Hoffman continue in their places. They haven't. They've made the change. They brought Binotto in. Again, CTO, COO. What I think will happen, and what I think should happen, is that they do bring in someone else to sit alongside Mattia to handle more of the Zach Brown-esque duties. Let Binotto be the Stella and bring someone else to be Zach Brown. That's the way I think that.
That's a good
shout. McLaren there's not one size fits all, right? Toto does it his way, Christian does it his way, but I think that is the way forward. I think that's how you get the best out of Binotto, is not putting him, in this almost like human role and letting him focus on the kind of machine development role.
Yeah, 100%. I don't disagree with you, Tomo. And you know what? Oh, mate. I don't have the answers to these exam questions,
I.
Tomo. I'm too noddy in F1 mind. And to be fair to Audi, there is always going to be an element of clearing house, right? You know, like new manager thesis. They've come in, they're brand new, and they're Audi now, no longer Sauber, so they're always going to clear house. I get it, I understand it, but I don't. To your question, Tomo, who do you put alongside him? Mate, Flavio? Mate, I don't know.
That ship's out. I don't know. You got what, Martin Whitmarsh? Didn't he just leave Aston? Or they've been moving some bits around?
Yeah, as Lawrence Stroll clears the decks with a view to entice Adrian Newey over to his team, then Martin Whitmarsh has just been moved aside because apparently Adrian Newey, once upon a time, Martin escorted Adrian Newey out the door when he was leaving, didn't he? So Martin and Adrian aren't cozy bedfellows.
Yeah, you would think for Audi they need like a name, like a name with authority in the paddock to actually come in and really. And again, like, you know, think of Flavio what you want. He does carry an authority, and he will. He knows the game. It's a tough game. It's a cutthroat game. Maybe that's for suggestions in the comments if me and Cameron can't, because I'm coming up short, mate. I think someone alongside Binotto makes sense, but I don't know who.
I'm trying to think. Could you entice a Ross Brawn out of? He's gone away. He's fishing, isn't he? He's gone away. He's not enticable, I don't think. But if you could, I mean, bloody Nora, Tomo, what better name is there in the business to do that sort of stuff? Like, abridge the commercial element and the technical. Ross Brawn. FFS, mate.
Sebastian Vettel.
Oh, behave yourself, Tomo.
Oh my God.
Come on, chap. Behave yourself.
He doesn't need to worry about developing the engine. Everyone loves him, right?
Oh,
he would
behave.
Imagine Vettel as the face of Audi, Binotto doing bits in the. I mean, I don't know how Binotto Vettel ended, like in terms of their relationship, right? Because there's a bit of crossover there, but.
Nah, Tomo. You know what you've done there, mate? You know what you've done there? You know when they see Frank Lampard was a brilliant player, they just think automatically that means that he can be a fantastic manager, where it's nothing of the sort. Just because you could like hit a ball from, like, score goals at will from 35 yards, that doesn't mean you've got the requisite skill and capability to be a manager. And I think that's what you're imposing upon four-time champ Seb Vettel.
Perhaps not, but you know, when Andrea Stella took over at McLaren, there were a lot of questions, rightly so. Not done that role before. Yes, very experienced in the sport, but not done that specific role before, and he's cooked. Maybe Seb would cook. Look.
Oh, mate, don't do that. Did you just put Seb Vettel's name in the same sentence as Andrea Stella, the Pep Guardiola of F1? Behave yourself.
He's done. Oh, right. Hang on. Comments, let us know who should take the reins at Audi as maybe CEO alongside CTO and COO Mattia Binotto. Cameron, thank you so much for coming on, mate. Pleasure as always. Go check his channel out, linked in the description down below. Cameron F1, great in-depth chinwags like me own in terms of the old live streams as well, and of course with everyone's good friend Peter Windsor. Cameron, thank you so much, mate.
You're a legend, sir. Pleasure as always, chap.